Deborah, we are back for another episode. Deb, I like to
You
toss it out
never
there.
call me Deborah.
I do all the time. That's all right. I like to keep you on your toes. Just make sure you're paying attention. You're not too tired because I know you are
I'm
a
a,
teacher after a long day.
Man,
Uh, she's been known to kind of not completely doze off in the middle of the show, but she starts getting a little bit of a lean, and then the eyes get heavy. So we just got to make sure that Deb's awake.
I have not had a Truly tonight, so I'm good. I'm drinking water.
Oh, okay, well, we'll see how this goes because usually you do. So, anyways, hopefully everybody is doing well. And if you're not, that's okay because we have Mr. Optimism here tonight. We have the founder of Project Optimism SAC, Easley Dunn and Company. Also, he's the author of Life Work, and he is better known as a social impact entrepreneur. Hopefully, I got all that right.
you did that good.
There's a lot of hats.
Hey, you did that
Armoni
good.
Easley, what's going on, man?
Oh, blessed to be here. It's been a eventful day, and it's just getting started. So it's going to be a long, good week.
That's awesome. See, there's already optimism.
Love it.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Everybody else is like, dang, it's only Tuesday. I got a long week ahead of me.
Yeah.
This week's gonna
No,
suck. Not Armani though. He's
No,
on it.
yeah.
no, because as soon as I think like, oh man, like this, and this, I'd be like, I pray for these. I pray for these challenges that I'm facing today. And
Yeah.
so it's a blessing within that when you have the end goal in mind. But that's a whole nother discussion. But just know the end goal will help you get through a lot of tough things, especially in
Yeah.
entrepreneurship.
Yeah, for sure. We've had quite a few entrepreneurs on the show, and there's a common thread that goes through everyone's story, and it is that hardship and like battling through that hardship. So Armani's no different. But we like to start the show off by letting people know how we're connected with our guests if it's their first time on the show. And if you guys are regular listener of our show, you probably heard me mention Armani's name when I was talking to Josiah. I met Armani kind of the same way I met Josiah through Kevin Bracey, our good friend of this podcast, Kevin Bracey, motivational speaker. And man, you and I first actually met face to face when I was recording and filming some stuff for Kevin and you guys, the Rhythm and Quotes, which was a ton of fun. A lot of Deb, I think I told you this before. I filmed this thing for these guys, and I don't know if you could pack any more energy and positivity in one room. I'm like, man, I left motivated. I was just there to film and record, and I felt motivated coming out of that thing. And
Yeah.
so, I always like to say, man, any person that's a friend of Kevin, who's a good friend of mine, has to be an awesome person. So, man, you're in good company for sure. And so, I'm looking forward to hearing more from you and hearing more about your story personally.
Absolutely.
So that's how we're connected. Pretty simple through Kevin Bracey. So,
Absolutely.
but anyways, man, that's enough of me talking. Like, tell us a little bit about you, man. Like, where'd you grow up? How'd you get started? And kind of how'd you get to where you are today?
Who is Armoni Easley?
Who is Armoni Easley?
Very loaded question, right? Right.
Yeah.
Um, let's start from the beginning. I didn't live half my life in the Bay Area and half my life in Sacramento. So I like to just say I'm from Northern California, and I lived all the way up 80. I'm from the Richmond, California, in the Bay Area, but I would say a lot of my core friends that I'm still connected with to this day. We actually have a brotherhood called Get There Boys. We're grown men now, so we threw off the boy part, and we're connected since high school. But that was in Vallejo, California. So I went to middle school in Vallejo, and I went to high school, a little bit of high school in Vallejo as well. And then I moved to Sacramento, which was a awesome thing for me. I think my mom moving us up 80, it was an intentional move to kind of get us out of spaces that were more at promise and challenging. Some of my siblings might not have been as fortunate, but my mom definitely had a goal, and timing is everything. But I know that that's one of my leading charges for the stuff that I'm doing is my actual lived experience of what I've been through and what my family has been through, what I've seen and what I want to see motivates me to motivate me to really get to this point. And so, what else about Armani? Uh, I'm big on social capital. So even when I didn't know what I was doing, I was always networking. I was always connecting people. The homecoming king thing, the not being really good at sports, but one of the coach's favorite players, quote unquote, just because of the energy that you were talking about, just having it and not even knowing I had it, right? It took for me to kind of get into the work to put language behind what I was doing. And then then that's when I was able to maximize it. Um, Married, man. Me and my wife will be married a year. Next month will be a whole year, and we're actually going to be celebrating by going with a whole bunch of friends to Mexico, and so
Ah,
we're going to
nice.
be close to Cancun, and we're going to be out there celebrating. So looking forward to that. But like, dang, like that
Mm.
happened fast, right?
Yeah.
I'm gonna keep going and I'm gonna almost be done. Got a dog and a cat. I'm a stepdaddy of a dog and a cat. I love them so much. The cat kind of grew on me, but I think she knew that I wasn't too sure about her. But now, I didn't eased up, and it's all
Oh
good.
man, okay.
So, as much as I'm going to talk to you about my passions and about the things that I'm doing in the community, I'm starting to build my own family, y'all. And if I'm honest, I'm building it blindly, as in like I'm just being a good person, and that helped me be the best mentor I could be. But I didn't have a father figure growing up. We talk about more of the context of my inception of on this world is my dad was murdered a month before I was born, and
Mm.
so
Hmm.
what's powerful about it is I get to look in the mirror and ask people about him. They tell me all the time, just look in the mirror, and you're just like him. And the stories that he had, which was a lot of street related stuff, I feel like I'm doing the same thing, but I'm doing it for a cause. And so I always say I'm his second chance at life because in a lot of ways he would be doing the same things if he had a Project Optimism, if he had a Kevin Bracey, if he
Yeah.
had y'all, literally in education. Josh, you are filming amazing things that allow for us to spread that positive energy. So my bad, I can ramble a little bit, but now y'all got me cooking a little bit. So we in here, we in here. Let's go.
Hey man, go for it. That's why we have you
And I
on. They
probably
hear
have
us
more
every
stuff,
week.
but I know what happened within this conversation. So, yep.
Yeah,
Awesome.
that's awesome, man. Obviously, like we just met, really started. I mean, we met, during the Rhythm and Quotes thing, but this is our first time actually having a conversation. So
Absolutely.
I didn't realize any of that about your backstory, and that makes a lot of sense why you're doing what you're doing now. Like I imagine that everything you do is kind of fueled by that situation. So that's pretty powerful stuff.
Absolutely.
It's like we all have these hardships, right? And and I don't know if some people like when I say this, but I feel like things happen for a reason. Some people can agree, or disagree, but um I feel like even, for you, for yourself with your organization and, motivationally speaking and, you know, because you have like a testimony of these hardships that you've had to deal with, you're going to reach someone who like will hear you say that about your dad and just your upbringing and be like, oh, like I have like that's something similar to what I'm going through, and it makes a huge impact.
Absolutely.
Not that you wanted that to happen to your in your life, it's not that you chose that, but it's just something that you're using it to spread optimism, your organization, and just whatever it is your message is, it's going to make a big deal. So I think that, I think people would need to hear what you have to say.
300%. And if I can just add on to that, for me, it's two options that you can take out of that. You can use it as fuel, like you were just talking about, or you can use it as a crutch. It's your choice. For me, my faith, not throwing faith on anybody else, but it allows for me to see God. Like I try to read the Bible a little bit, but if I'm honest, I could just look at my life and see Him present. See that I'm operating in that true faith that everything is going to be okay. And then the flip side of it is the residuals. Me pushing towards my goals. A lot of people, Josiah said all the time, your goals is connected to other people's goals. And I never unheard that because that's so true. And so the ripple effect is thinking about the fact that Project Optimism started with a whole bunch of volunteers, a whole bunch of begging, hoping that somebody give us a chance to love on the babies that we're serving, coming out of our own pocket to full circle. We're at 12 schools now, not just in Sacramento, but we're in LA as well. The
Wow.
fact that we have almost 32 staff members on our payroll. I just did payroll today. Like, people are paying their mortgages out of the fact that we had a dream that they wanted to be a part of, and that they believe in us so much that we are able to bring people with us. And as we climb, they come with us. And another thing I want to add, going back to doing somewhat trainings to kind of get people to understand the power of mentorship, is we have a junior mentorship group that they're like middle schoolers that's been through our program, And what was really powerful about last week or earlier this week, sorry about that. It was actually just yesterday now that I think about it. I told them that they're on the clock now. Like their junior mentorship is like, you work for Project Optimism. When I get done with you, you're going to be able to work for somebody like Project Optimism or for an organization like it, because I'm going to teach you the ins and outs of being the best mentor you could possibly be. And so when you're of age, you're already employable. You can put me on you're learning from the CEO of the organization. How empowering is that, right? And so I had to build myself up to get to that point and own it. Like I'm owning it that I'm a community leader, owning it that I'm an entrepreneur that's doing great things. That way, young people and people that can see my story and think like, how did you get from here to here? You know? And so absolutely. What you said was really good, Deb. If you mind me calling you Deb.
Yeah. Yes. Don't. Yeah. It's not Deborah, Joshua.
She prefers it. I toss it out every once in a while.
It is Deborah, but I go by Deb. Josh just likes to say Deborah to, I think, annoy me.
You just mix it up, you know.
100%. 100%.
Going.
That's exactly. You're a little fired up. It brings more energy to the podcast. It is funny though, not to get off a sidetrack, but sometimes we'll get emails from people and we'll say, "Hey, hi, Josh and Debbie." I'm like, "Ooh, I wish good thing she didn't." Yeah, they'll call you Debbie every once in a while. I'm like, I'm glad I'm answering this email, not her. She would not have been pleased with that. So every once in a while it happens. So hey, I want to go back real quick because you mentioned that you weren't like the greatest athlete, which is crazy because when I first met you, I didn't realize how tall you were. And no joke, I had to adjust the camera because of you, because no offense to anybody else who was there, but you were significantly taller than everybody else. I'm like, dang, he's not even going to fit in the frame. So I had to adjust everything because of you. And that's wild to me.
I appreciate you saying that. That works in my favor so much because like, I'd rather for it to be that way. Let's be honest. For somebody to think I'm short when they see me, they're like, oh, so the pandemic, being on Zoom, that happened so much. And I'm like, I'll take that. And also in this other room, I need every inch possible because my wife is like 5'11",
Oh man.
So yeah, she was a former she was the athlete, by the way. But I did want to give you context of what you say? Oh, my bad.
Yeah,
I was going to say, but I wanted to say, just call me a true optimist, if you will. But I'm glad I wasn't good at sports, y'all. I kid y'all not. I think about some of my friends. I think about some of the people that was their identity, and when it's not there anymore, who am I, And so I was able to know at an earlier time that I was a great leader within sports. I learned a lot of life lessons in sports, but that wasn't identity that I had to shy away from, that I had to figure out what's next, and so for me, I got a chance to make this my sport. The work that I'm doing with the community, the work that I'm doing with young people, the love that I have for entrepreneurship and creating things from scratch. And to be honest, it's like being a comedian or something like that, or an actor is ageless. And so I think that it worked to my favor, but also I really, really enjoy sports, and I encourage the exposure of travel, sports, food, people. Expose yourself to new things because it elevates you in so many different ways. And so that's why I wanted to just put some context on the idea of not being good and kind of being proud of it when I look back at it.
That's an awesome perspective, man. I'll be honest. There's still times I'm like, man, I wish I was better at baseball. I'm 34 years old. I'm still wishing I could go back.
Don't get it twisted. I need to sign up to for adult softball league, man. I used to enjoy myself. I did my thing. I did a little something. It's not something that I would hang my hat on,
Yeah, I got you. That makes sense. So tell me a little bit, like when did we'll start with, because you have a bunch of stuff that you do, but let's start with Project Optimism.
Yes, please.
When did that officially start? Like when did the idea come to you, and then when did you guys really get off the ground?
So I want to say professionally, I fell in love with this working at a foster care agency. And so that was when I was like 20, 21 years old. And I do want to give context. I was making really good money outside of this. Like before I found my calling, I was doing a lot of club events and concerts, and I was making good money. And so I would make I would have a great month, an okay month, and then a bad month. And I'm like, you know what? I can't pay the bills doing it this way. I need something that's going to be consistent on top of the promoting, and I'm going to be balling.
Yeah.
Not knowing that my next opportunity was going to be the calling on my life, where I'm like, oh, immediately when I start working there was a shift. Wow. And what I feel what I know to be true is I was able to obtain a skill over here and bring it to what my calling was, you know? And so fast forward, Project Optimism. We used to do a lot of events before the pandemic. We do a little something, something now, but for the most part, it's mainly programming, but it allowed for me to use those transferable skills and something into something that was going to be a forever thing. And so that's the part that kind of stands out the most. Just to give you context before I answer the question. And so I think we're approaching 7 years. What do we start doing work? We start doing work in 2015. My co-founder is Ishmael Pruitt. He oversees the southern region and helps out tremendously in the northern region because this is the foundation. We started in Oak Park. We worked at a Fortune school, and once again, we were just trying to figure out what our programming was going to look like. Matter of fact, our first program was called the Sankofa Project, which is that bird right there.
Okay.
And it stands for go back and get it. It's that mindset of looking back and giving back. And so we want to be intentional with that because we know representation is key. And we knew that's one of the ways we mobilize. It's like, how can I get people that look like the people that we serve in order for them to be, for the introduction to be transformational, just from the introduction. And it's not even the whole program yet, right?
Yeah.
Let's be honest. A lot of times we can't be what we can't see. And so that was something that we intentionally fought to make sure we had every single time, even if we were like grabbing cousins, grabbing friends, and then we start building great relationships with the colleges and universities and such. So once again, we started before we was official 501c3 in like 2015. We became a official nonprofit 2016. And then we just kept cooking. We were working full time. I worked at the district office, so I was learning a lot from the district office and bringing it to Project Optimism. And what I was learning for Project Optimism and the community work, I was taking to San Juan Unified, and it was a perfect machine because I was adding value in both spaces and I was building relationships. And so when I took that leap of faith, because this is the part where it gets kind of good. When I took the leap of faith in 2019 to be a full-time entrepreneur and to do Project Optimism full-time, not knowing a pandemic was about to happen, but once again, it makes a greater story. It makes you have more faith in the fact that like everything will work itself out. But to just give you context, Project Optimism blew up because of the pandemic, because we were able to be all over the place. Yeah. And if it's any time for young people that need an organization like us, it was during the pandemic. And so us being able to be all over the place virtually allowed for us to really make a name for ourselves over time. And so when we start to come back to quote unquote normal, the first people they wanted to give opportunities to was organizations like us. And so it allowed for us to really, really catapult. But it really was that optimistic mindset. It's like, we got to figure out a way to be able to make that difference. And it's thriving as we speak, and it's a lot of learning that comes with it, and it's a lot of unlearning as well too, because there's certain things that we want to do that might not make sense for this young person or for this program or for this school. And so it's kind of like fun. It's endless. So I'll stop there so y'all can keep going.
Yeah, no, that's great. The more you tell us about what you do in your organization, the better. We love it, and that way our listeners will love it too.
Oh, for sure. And what I will probably add is, if I'm honest, I went into this work to do the work, right? But I need everybody out there, talk about y'all listeners, I need everybody out there to know that a nonprofit organization or your passions that you want to create into a business is a business. And so me being one of the leaders, 80% of the work that I'm doing is work I didn't sign up for, because it's a true business when it comes down to paperwork, when it comes down to working with HR work. We just adopted a program with ADP where it's a learning curve there, making sure our staff is good. It's just a shift. And that's what I would say. My new shift, which I do appreciate, is mentoring the mentor. But it's a lot of back end stuff that we want to make sure that we're in compliance. That's almost close to being equally as important for us to keep the doors open, quote unquote, for us to be sustainable. And so it's so many things that, like, I didn't go to school for, that's just happening, that we're just learning. And I think the part that makes it really cool is when we look back at it, we was like, dang, we've grown so much, but it's because we had to.
Yeah.
And I think that that's important for entrepreneurs and people that want to start businesses to know is it's going to be a lot of learning and a lot of uh, just finding out things. You'll think you're in a good spot, be open to another wave of things that you got to figure out. And so that was something that came to mind, if we're honest, when you talk about moving up, because I'm not able to do a direct programming like that. Whenever I get a chance to, oh, it's like the best thing ever, right? But I do think that it's important when you're scaling the business that you know that it comes with a back end part, but it makes you better.
Well, I almost feel like from other people we've talked to and just, things that I've read and videos that I've seen, I think when it comes to entrepreneurship or, people who are pursuing their dreams and their passions, I feel like that stuff you're talking about, the stuff that the back end stuff, the stuff you weren't expecting, the stuff that you weren't prepared for, that's almost, I feel like the thing that makes or breaks the entrepreneur, like whether or not you're going to keep going. Like if you're like, hey, I'm going to keep going through this muddy, nasty storm because I love what I'm doing so much.
Yeah,
That tells you how passionate you are. So the fact that you're still doing it after that is awesome. It says a lot about what you're doing.
Yep. And I kind of alluded to it earlier. I'll say it again. In times where those challenges come up or you're doing certain things that you didn't quote unquote sign up for, I just think about like our staff. I think about our young people. So when I think about that end goal, it makes it worth it.
Yeah.
It makes it all worth it.
Yeah.
Because we built something that literally can live past us if we keep on going. Because
Yeah.
the goal is to have the right people in place. But the most important part that we're trying to work towards is building those systems, those atomic habits, those systems that's going to allow for us to plug and play no matter who's in the space. Yes, we're always going to get great people, but the idea is what type of system do we need to make sure it lives past me, past Ishmael, past Janine, past all the people that we hire and to do a great job. And I think that's the part that we're striving for. It's the end goal.
Yeah. So I'm sure you have a question. That's why I mentioned this one thing. One of our friends from a different podcast that we've done, his name is Gabe Lemon. I don't know if you're familiar with Gabe, but he's a trainer in the Sacramento area. But
Nice.
last time I talked to him, he mentioned something very similar to what you just said. And he said, he's like, man, I want to plant seeds. I'm probably gonna mess it up. I want to plant seeds for trees that I'll never see grow. And it's kind of like what you're saying. It's like, man, all these seeds you're planting, like you may never see the fruits of it, but what you're planting is good.
Yep.
And that what you're doing is good, and that eventually it's going to pay off for future generations. So sorry, Deb, I'm sure you have a question, but I just wanted to toss it out there.
No, that's perfect. Well, and just to both of your points, like I think that's great that, just especially working with, the younger people, just being a high school teacher these days, it's just kind of just watching just how the pandemic has affected them. I know parents are doing their best. Everyone's doing their best. Teachers are doing their best, everyone. But sometimes they just need a little extra help. I mean, some of them don't have parents there. They don't have parent figures or there's different situations. So I think it's great what you're doing, just for another opportunity for them to just be mentored or to be a part of something,
Yep. And Deb, what I'm happy for when I'm looking at you and thinking about you being an educator, I'm thinking of how many parents appreciate y'all so much more coming out of that pandemic. So much more. Because like we always have a really, if it's a lot of different jobs out there and professions out there that we admire and respect. But y'all are literally teaching our future, And so the appreciation was already there, but I felt like it's double and triple time over to know that they had to be teachers, they had to be tutors, they had to be the person that truly did a quarter of, what you were doing every single day. And so, yeah, no, absolutely. I think that I was just giving flowers real quick. That's all.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, we try. We're trying. And like it, yeah, and like I said, everyone's doing our best. And I mean, and just like I can't imagine how some parents how they were dealing it to the same respect of like how you said, like we were still online, we were still on Zoom. I can't imagine how those families were like, what do I do with my kid? Okay, I hope my kid stays on Zoom when I leave, go to work or whatever the situation was. Like it was just rough for everyone. So but
and to go back to the babies though, right? With the young people, school a lot of times was their safe place.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
That sucks, y'all. That
Yep.
Mhm.
it wasn't just only their safe place. This is where they got a solid 1 to 2 meals, you know? And so it's so many layers that for me, especially getting opportunities to do listening sessions in my other hat with Easley Done and Company, LLC, the LLC part, doing listening sessions and helping them build empathy and understanding. And the best example that I have that we all face was the pandemic.
Mhm.
And so let us not forget that feeling of the fact that we all had to experience the same thing at the same time, you know? And so for me, it's so many different layers to that part that I just think is important for us not to forget. And so sorry for going left, but that definitely is something that it's always on my mind to be able to leave it better than what we found it. Like we have a true understanding of the world, quote unquote, stopping. And so it's our responsibility to pick it back up in a way that we uh don't go back to just things being regular scheduled programming or whatever they say, right? And so, yeah.
Yeah. Well said.
No,
Yeah, absolutely. I've just kind of two more questions here before we move on from Project Optimism, because I feel like it's important. So, number one, what age range do you work with? And then number two, like, how does someone get involved? Like, if they have young people that would benefit from the mentorship that you guys provide, how do people get involved with what you do?
I appreciate you. First and foremost, I would say when we first started, our sweet spot there, middle school. That was our spot. We love middle school and a little bit of high school. But what we understood, not even just and what we understood was if we're truly trying to do preventative work, we want to go lower. And so we had a mentor, like somebody that really kind of gave us the the blueprint of us creating a lane for ourselves. And so we went down to fourth grade. And so our sweet
Wow.
spot lately has been fourth grade up to middle school. And it's one of the best things that we ever did.
Okay.
It
Love it.
That's
really was.
crazy.
And it's been really working out so well that it's allowing for us to expand before we're ready. And one of the things I've been telling people is like we can easily probably be in every single district right now, but I have a social responsibility to provide quality work. And so I've probably been holding off on a few districts that we've been wanting to work with, and this is the first year where we got an actual chance to entertain those conversations and figure out what that looks like. And I'm proud of that because some people going back to like business models and what works and what doesn't might have just went with it and rolled with it. And I was like, nah, we have to make sure we keep the main thing. And it's starting to pay off because now we have enough data, we have enough understanding, we have enough systems that we can really uh, package and deliver it to somebody else better than we ever would imagine, you know, and still getting better at getting better. But I think it's important to note that it's like when to expand, when to scale back, when to analyze what makes sense and what doesn't. I think that's really, really key. So the fourth to eighth grade has been our spot between our programs from Northern California to Southern California. And then with your other question, which I really appreciate, because one of our approaches with Project Optimism is for the community, by the community. So one of the best things we could ever do is try to get people that literally come from the areas of the schools that we're trying to serve or the communities we're trying to serve. And so I would say between our events that we do every year, from volunteering at our gift and toy drives, we call it the power of giving, and then we have back to school drives. That's always a guarantee. But right now, we're really trying to employ people to get an opportunity to work with us. And a lot of times it seems like college students are like, those are typically the people that like the preference of the 15 to 20 hours or the at the most 25 hours of work. And so I would say if it's anybody that's just wanting to give back, we can work them in, but we need a true commitment because these young people are used to people coming in and out of their life. And so if it's not like one of our events, I would want them to be employed with us or make a commitment that they can be somewhere once a week at this school so a kid can get used to them and get an opportunity to truly experience their presence and their wisdom and their ability to be a mentor. And so that's the thing that's kind of challenging. It's like, I want you to be involved, but you would have to make a commitment here. When it come down to giving back, that's one of our, I'm gonna be honest with you, when it comes down to getting donations, we're still learning that part because we have a younger crowd, which works to our benefit because those people will jump in and volunteer like in a second. But when it comes down to them being established financially, they're not there yet, which is okay. So as we get older, I think it'll get better. But for the most part, we're looking to be able to work with different companies and different organizations that are a little more seasoned to kind of hear about what we're doing, which are allowing for me to do on this platform, but also get involved financially, if I'm being honest, you know?
Yeah.
And so that's another part. And then the last part that I think is really, really good is just posting us. Whenever y'all see something that we're posting or we're doing, let people know. You never know who wants to, you know, don't block people's blessings is what I say. It's like, give them opportunity to give back. And so I think between actually working for Project Optimism, volunteering with a commitment, giving back financially or monetarily, and yeah, just posting us, like, we can't lose with that. And in a lot of ways, like, I just tell people, just pray for us because it's clearly working. People that's praying for us now.
Yeah.
And so that's what I would say, if that makes sense. But you can elaborate
Oh,
on
yeah.
anything I said because I know that that's important. I'm glad you asked that.
Yeah, no, I mean, I think that's that's why we do what we do is we want to get people connected. Like it's awesome if they can hear the heart behind what you're doing, but we also want to give them like practical ways to get involved with what you're doing as
Absolutely.
well. Besides, obviously following you on Instagram and stuff like that. So any way we can get people connected to you, we want to do that. But before I move on, I just wanted to say one thing, man. Like I worked for a few years at like a nonprofit for a little bit in the Oak Park area,
Oh
for a
yeah.
little bit at Oak Ridge Elementary.
Nice.
And then through 501c3, and then in a church environment too. And man, the like you said, that commitment from volunteers is huge, especially like you said, and you know it's better than anybody. But in those areas, like we were always really careful when we were at Oak Ridge Elementary not to over promise on something that we couldn't deliver on, because
Yeah.
for the very reason you said, these kids have enough going on, and there's so much that they're being promised and not being given. We
Yeah.
can't be one more negative voice that's doing the
Exactly.
exact same thing. So,
Right.
man, I love that you hold the volunteers, because I mean, some people think, okay, I'm just going to volunteer and just give some time. It's like, I think when you're in certain environments, it's more than that. Like you got to look at it like more than that, because you're impacting people's lives.
Yes.
And so, it may be a flippant thing for you, but if that's the case, then you should probably go find somewhere else that you can do that with. But for what you guys are doing, I think it's so cool that you're holding that standard so high, because you only get people that have a true heart to volunteer and make an impact. So I appreciate that.
No, I appreciate you saying that as well, because it's hard. It's like, I know people's hearts is in a good place, but we understand what that can do. That could be counterproductive. And
Yeah.
what you said, I'm big on quotes if you ain't noticed, but to under commit and over deliver is what the goal is always to
Yeah.
do. And I think as a volunteer out there, if you're a volunteer, is to always have that mindset. Is
Yeah.
think about what you can commit to and over deliver, and that way everything is going to be appreciated because it was one more thing extra, right?
Yeah.
But just being mindful of that big picture is always appreciated as well.
Yeah. Absolutely. 100%.
Thank you for that.
I would love to hear more about your book. If you want to
Yeah.
tell
Yeah.
us about your book. Yeah.
So, thank you for that. I am really excited to kind of just talk to y'all about this because once again, I spoke into existence. I'm like, you know what? This book is going to have me traveling all over the world. Obviously, I'm going to do as local stuff as much as possible. And shout out to Kevin Bracey. He led the way of obviously creating a book for himself, but mine is a little different. I always talk about the idea of us downloading information every day. We're getting so much wisdom, so much perspective, all these things. When are you uploading those ideas? When are you really actually getting into your actual thoughts? And when are you actually putting that down somewhere? And so life work is more of a workbook. And I don't believe in homework. I believe in life work, tools that you can use for the rest of your life, conversations you can have with yourself that will benefit people past you. Like you said, planting those seeds, right? And so I'm really excited about it because it allows for people to really operate in their genius. And whenever I hand that book to somebody, I always tell them that they're going to make the book a masterpiece. it reminds me of therapy. Like my thoughts on therapy is like therapy doesn't work unless you work it, you know? And so being able to have different prompts, challenges, I put my personality on this, y'all, because certain pages have a QR code, and when you scan the QR code, it's a video from me, and so I probably made like 32. Actually, it might even be more than that. It's videos that you'll see throughout the sequence of the book that kind of build out the prompt or build out the narrative, or maybe I'm giving more context or a story about the prompt that I'm putting in front of you. But it's all about self-development. It's all about self-mastery, and I think y'all would really appreciate it. And so for your listeners as well, once again, I'm trying to facilitate one of the most important conversations you will have with yourself, and that's life work.
Yeah, I love that.
And I know, let me add this, my bad. The reason why I even created the book, because I do a lot of speaking engagements. And so I got tired of just creating a space where I'm motivated and I leave, or I create a space that's really, really golden, but what's the next steps? And so life work allows for me to be able to leave them with something that they can keep on their personal and professional journey, spiritual journey, all those different journeys, and be able to stay connected. And so it's been going well, y'all. Like I'm gonna just say this and I'm gonna be done. Just this week alone, one of my fellow groups, IYT, shout out to them. They just bought 111 books for their staff. All they have a big. I'm so proud of them. They're doing their thing, but they bought 111. I have another speaking engagement at Sac State for Cooper Woodson. They're buying 50 to be able for me to do a life work experience in person for them. And so once again, it's working because I just stepped forward in faith. And this is somebody that's not the best reader, that don't even take pride in reading, and created a book. I know I'm inspiring young people. I know I'm inspiring a lot of people because I'm just operating in faith. I'm operating with the integrity of knowing that I'm about to do a great thing, and I don't look back, you know, and the ripple effect has been really, really beautiful. So yeah.
That's great. And you're also operating on what sets your heart on fire.
It
You know,
sets my heart on fire.
yeah, you're passionate about this. This is something that you probably feel like you were like born to do, sort of say, if you could like say that. I try to tell my kids that too, and I'm teaching when they're like, I don't know what I want to do with my life, and I'm like, that's okay. I still don't know
That's
what I
okay.
want to do with my life, but it's constantly changing. I'm evolving, and I'm just whatever I love doing. That's okay, and that's what I'm going to go towards. And so I think that's important for that message too. I'm sure is what you tell.
Oh, absolutely. I could, and I appreciate you saying that because a lot of the things that's in that book and a lot of things that I'm teaching and I'm giving perspective on, I can stand on it. It's
Yeah,
not something I just Googled. It's stuff that I actively do. It's things I'm actively trying to pursue and get better at, you know? And so for me, it's like this life work journey, the life work experiences that I provide. I'm really hoping that it's invoking something that don't just stay right here. It's like now you have a social responsibility to it because once you know something, you can't unknow it. And so what are we gonna do now? And
right.
so I'm very much motivating, but I also try to motivate for movement. You know, like this is your opportunity, seize it because a lot of people will benefit from it, and you'll look back and not have the woulda, coulda, shoulda.
Yeah,
Um, and shout out to your kids. The biggest thing is exposure. Like try things. That way you can stand on it and say, "Hey, I tried this and I didn't like it," rather than say, "I should have tried this when I was this age."
yeah,
So I'm happy that they got that chance, and the young people that we serve have that chance every single day. Is to be informed decision making leaders,
yeah,
and not just going off of what you're hearing about your culture or hear about your family. It's like no, like I would like for you to experience that.
yeah, yeah. I
That's
love it.
awesome.
Yeah.
What's been like the biggest, your favorite compliment that you've received on the book?
Whew, man. It's been some good stuff. It's been some good stuff. Ooh, sheesh, that's a very good question. I haven't been asked that yet.
Oh, nice. We like to try to bring something new to the table.
Like to just make our guests nervous. Just
Yeah, no,
Yeah.
not even nervous. That made me excited because it's like I've been reading a lot of stuff, but I haven't look, hold me accountable. I haven't slowed down just to appreciate all the good feedback and the appreciation. This
yeah.
is probably not the best one, but I'm gonna give y'all one, so I'm just have y'all here all day.
Okay.
The one that came up for me is the fact that one of my staff members, a lot of them grabbed it and a lot of them are excited about it, but one of my staff members had a moment, and it's early in the book, where it's trying to it's up for you to identify where you're at on this pie chart of being like a balanced person, from the spirituality to friends and family to business, personal, all the different things. And she's like, "Can I talk to you real quick?" And I'm like, "What's going on?" I just stepped out of the meeting I was in, and she's like, "Oh my goodness." She was like, "I'm in school right now, so I just like, this is at an 80, and this is," and then she was like, my friends and family is like low here," and she was just kind of like processing, like going in a panic. And I'm like, dang, this is really allowing for people to process where they're at. And I was able to redirect her energy to let her know that different seasons for different reasons. It's going to go up and down on where you're at, you know? And one of the things I was able to pull from that conversation is let her know that, like, for me, I know for sure Project Optimism wouldn't be where it's at right now. A lot of the stuff that I'm doing to this day that I'm benefiting from now wouldn't have happened on the level that it did without my singleness. And then one of the core things that I could tell was standing out for her was she was like, you know, companionship, community, X, Y, and Z. I'm lacking that because I'm on grind mode for school and all these different things. And I needed her to know that, like, it's okay for you to just to be aware. That's all it is just being aware, and then looking at those different areas that you want to improve on. Just think of one thing. Just think of one thing that you would like to be able to address and to actively work towards, and it's going to get better as you flow and go. But I said the season that you're in demands for you to be in this space where it's a different balance. So the fact that people just have that mindset to really process the book and things that I needed to process as well, and I get to walk people through it and just offer a perspective, because I know that I understand that feeling that she had. It's trying to find that balance is always going to be a challenge, you know. But I was able to kind of redirect that energy, and I thought that was a really cool moment, because people are so much because it's about you at the end of the day. It's like, I'm not really the book is really creative, but the most creative part is you. It's the work that you're going to do on yourself. So I appreciate the hard work that she's putting on trying to get better. That's all.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah.
Now let me ask you this: has anybody asked you to sign the book?
Oh, everybody.
Nice.
Everybody. And I am so much of a like empowering person. I gotta give you a personal message, you know. So I'll be in there. I'm left-handed with a bad handwriting. I hope they can read it. I just started working on my signature again because my wife be making fun of it. But like literally, like absolutely, and every single time is an honor. But everybody actually asked, and I didn't. When I was writing this book, I didn't even think about that. I didn't
funny.
think about that, and and I really appreciate it, and it's really, those are the opportunities that I appreciate. I'm glad that's really good.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
I really would like for y'all to grab it, because I do think that like certain pages is going to really hit you, and certain pages you might need to be blessing somebody else with, and maybe even have a family discussion about, because it's set up in that way. So I'll send y'all the link.
Well, I was gonna say this. So we don't do this a ton, but we do it, and I think I can speak for both of us, Deb. Like, we'll do this when we have something or someone's doing something that we really believe in. We'll do a giveaway of some kind. So I actually had it in my notes anyways, that I was planning on buying the book. Usually I try to get the product or the book. If I believe in what people are doing, I'll buy the book ahead of time so I can do a little bit more research. I didn't get around to doing it this time, but it is in my notes to buy it. So we'll connect with you on a giveaway. So we'll buy a couple of books and then do a giveaway for you for sure.
That means a lot.
Yeah, man.
Life work, Waymakers, heart work. Yeah, all of those things.
Okay, perfect. Yeah, because like I said, we don't do it for just anybody. Like, we have to like truly believe in what and like the work that's being done. Like, that's no disrespect to anybody we've had on the show. We haven't had too many people ask, but there's been a couple of times where, you know, it's like, I don't think we're going to do this, but the stuff you're doing, man, is awesome, and it's having a huge impact on the community. So yeah, for sure, we'll support that.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, anything with our kids these days, you know, it's rough to, you know, put in the time to do that. Even teachers themselves are leaving the profession because it's rough now. So to have someone step in and just, especially with the age level that you decided to hit, the younger ones, I think that I'm not, like a pediatrician, or I'm not sure exactly what happens in the developmental brain of a child. I kind of have a little bit of an idea, but I feel like that age too is like is perfect, because sometimes by the time they get to high school, they're like, it's hard to reach them sometimes.
Yeah. No, and that's the reason why I think in my head, like, I'm proud of you for choosing high school, because I'm like, they have more attitude than people that pay bills half the time. like, how does this work? If I'm honest, once again, I get a chance, and I'm honest on this too. I get to show up and play hero. Like, I get to be there for 30 minutes to an hour to 2 hours at the most, depending on what I'm doing, and I'm out. And I'll be just thinking when I'm leaving, or I'm done from speaking or whatever. I'm like, how do they do that for 8, 6, 7 hours? Like, how do y'all even do that? Like, that right there is, and it's every day. So I would love any tips that you have for me. I am so open for that, because that's amazing.
No, you just keep doing what you're doing. We need you to keep at whatever system you have in place. That's perfect. So
for sure.
I appreciate you. Yeah,
for sure.
I know. I'm as man, we could talk to you forever, but as you're talking too, like, I'm a little bit bummed that we're having this conversation. I'm glad we're having the conversation now, but I'm also bummed that we didn't meet like 7 years ago, 8 years ago, when I was actually in the middle of doing a lot of the stuff that I was doing. Cause I'm just like, every time you say something, there's like a person's face pops in my head. Like a teacher, like someone who leads an organization that could have really benefited from what you were doing. So I'm like, man, we just had this conversation a little too late. We met too late, but
can I say this? Divine timing is key.
Yeah.
You give me a platform on your platform to really give people an opportunity to be a part of what we're talking about. And so
absolutely,
7 years ago, I wouldn't have been able to provide you anything,
Sure.
But a good conversation, but what I was doing when I was working, I think I was working at a counseling agency at the time. So divine timing is everything. And I would say, just like y'all said, y'all make exceptions, y'all can come through. If
we appreciate that.
Come to a program, y'all ever want to come to anything, every now and then we get blessed with King's tickets and stuff like that. Y'all part of my group of people I'm gonna think about now,
I appreciate that, man.
And only because, like, energy vibes don't lie. You could tell y'all want us to win. The people that y'all have on y'all shows, I can tell, like, just by watching a few of them and just really just looking like, yeah, they're walking in purpose. I always say you're walking in purpose on purpose, because it's a choice. You can have a purpose and run from it, So that y'all walking in purpose on purpose, flowers once again.
Thank you.
I love that. I might just clip that one little thing that you just said, because we appreciate that. And I'm gonna play it for my wife anytime she's like, "Are you podcasting again?" Like, yeah, but this is why I'm doing it right here. So it's fine. Exactly. It's all good.
No, absolutely. Wifey, we need you to understand that we need him.
Man, she's gonna love this too. Because she's also a teacher. Man, I'm surrounded by teachers. So
let's go.
She's a high school teacher as well. So I think she's gonna really appreciate everything you're doing. Like I said, man, I have a bunch of people I want to get you connected with, because I think, that would mean a lot. That's what we do here. I am listening, but there's also like all these little things going off in my head, like, oh, get him connected with this guy or this woman.
But the reason why I appreciate this, y'all, is because for a long time doing the work, we had to work down. Like, we had to actually do the work directly. This is like our first year, almost 2 years, we got a chance to look up and to be able to champion and tell people what we're doing, So another part of me stepping away from the classroom, as much as I love it, even though I get to do it on the side with Easley Done Company, but who's going to champion what we're doing so we can get more support, And so these opportunities are golden for us to be able to talk about what we're doing and really be able to sit in those gaps, so people can even know what Project Optimism is and what we're doing and why we're doing it, right? And the background stories on why this is not just a job. This is a responsibility. I'm still affected by the things that we're trying to interrupt in other people's lives with my own family,
Yeah.
So I think that that sense of urgency is probably one of the reasons why I took that leap of faith, where it's like, I'm underutilized here, where it's only one of me. I'm doing great work, but it's only one of me. But I want to bring people with me. I'm very communal in that way. And I think people will look back. A lot of people have looked back or told me like, I'm glad you did what you did, you know?
Yeah.
So
That's
yeah.
awesome. So, like, hey man, like I said before, I want to make sure we're respectful of your time, but
Yeah,
I
no,
don't
appreciate
want
it.
to, I do not want to skip over this last piece of kind of what you do. You do a bunch of stuff, but there's one
Oh,
last
I'm
thing we
sorry.
talked about.
Got you.
Uh, Easily Done and Company. So
Yeah.
the LLC, like,
So
explain a little bit about this. Is what happens. We do like an hour 15-minute podcast. When we have people like Armoni on, like, we need to do like a 3-hour podcast because there's
nah,
just
it's
so much to
love.
cover.
No, it's love. And I appreciate you taking time to cover it. So to give y'all context again, I created that perfect system of what I was learning in Project Optimism within the community. I was adding value at the school district, and what I was learning with the district and building those relationships, I took the Project Optimism. And so when I took that leap of faith, it was kind of like, well, where are you going? And I was like, Project Optimism, partner with Project Optimism. And so we got a chance to add value in that space, right? And then it would be like, well, sometimes the work that you was doing here, we want that to continue. How can we work with you? And so I'm like, ooh, I started off as a sole proprietorship consultant and basically doing a lot of similar work as a consultant to support what was happening at the district. And so I would say my skill set, my gift made room for me to have something that was happening independent from Project Optimism. And I've been able to do this for like, I want to say almost no, almost 3.5 years, 4 years, close to that. And now I'm starting to build a team there. Shout out to Sabrina. Sabrina, you're gonna hear this one day. I just was meeting with her.
Yeah.
Where now we're building systems to figure out, okay, I know a lot of people. Y'all need to be added to this in company part because I need y'all to hear this part. I'm providing a service, right? But when I hear my clients, when I hear different entities that I'm meeting with, I'm thinking about how can I add value, not just from what I'm providing, but what all the people I'm connected with is providing, and I'm able to subcontract and give people opportunities within that. Because once again, social capital is something I've been doing since high school, since middle school. And so now, once again, transferable skills, I'm thinking big picture of like, if I'm listening, I'm truly listening, I can think about the areas that I can add value that don't just consist of me. And so it's the consulting, the speaking, the book, a little bit of investments. I got down with a little bit of investments, um, and the in company part of bringing people with me and giving people opportunities to work at their capacity as their own entity, and just plug and play, plug and play, plug and play. And so I don't think anything I'll ever do will be just to be about me. I think that, no offense to anybody, but I think that if your dreams only take you to do them, they're not big enough. They're not. They're it's respectfully, they're not something that will live in a way where it benefits so many other people, because it's really about how you can assist somebody to be great. And if you're just trying to keep that for yourself, I don't see how that's beneficial for the bigger picture. And I fell in love with giving because it really is a high that I can't explain.
Yeah.
So it's a book called The Go Giver. I don't read that
Oh
many
yeah.
books, if I'm honest, but that's one of my favorite books. I'm gonna be honest. That's one of them ones. I think I
Awesome.
gave it to somebody. Yeah.
Yeah, I feel like that someone's recommended that book on this show before. Maybe it was a different podcast that we've done, but yeah. I mean, I don't even think you have it in you to do something where it's just about you. Like, I don't even think even if you tried, I don't think you could do it.
Now, don't get it twisted. Just like y'all two, somebody has to make the step, right? Somebody has to do the things that's going to allow for everybody to benefit from, right?
Sure.
But but when that happens, I'm always thinking about who can I bring with me, you know?
Yeah.
And so I feel like that's literally what y'all doing in every single episode.
Yeah.
So that's
Yeah.
legacy work.
We try our best. We appreciate that, man. And obviously we appreciate everything you're doing too. That's, man, my head's just spinning. Like, sometimes I feel like I'm busy with 2 kids and family and all that stuff. And then I hear what he's doing. I'm like, man, I could be a little busier.
No,
Man, you're killing it.
don't get it twisted. You didn't hear us. We have a dog and a cat. We don't have any kids, so just know that y'all got the hard work over there. I know for sure y'all got the hard work. But I
Yeah.
would love, like, if y'all got time, let's do lunch one day. Like, let's really check
Yeah.
in, because I bet we can add value to what we're all doing. just
Yeah.
naturally, but intentionally as well.
Yeah, absolutely, man. Absolutely.
Armoni, I want to ask you a question. So we used to do the Character Combine podcast, Josh and I.
Yeah.
And I would always ask some warm-up questions. And one of the warm-up questions would be, I loved asking this question, so I want to ask you the question.
Let's do it.
I call it a life song. So I just kind of, my question would be, what is your life song? Or if you could think of one song that's already out there in the world that that is just your life song. I know it's a loaded question, so just think about it for a second.
I know if you're only listening and not watching the video, if you would have seen Armoni's face right there. Yeah, this is a tough question.
Because no, y'all got fire questions, and life work is a whole bunch of questions, right? I love to ask questions. I can't even help it. Sometimes my wife got to tell me, babe, turn it off. Like I like to be able to ask. Y'all have some good questions. I like that. With the song though, I have one song that y'all probably not gonna be familiar with, but I'll explain it. It's an awesome dude. He's a mentor of mine. He's from Sacramento, originally in Oakland right now, but he has a song called Hope Dealer. And I could tell y'all every single time, because he's a former educator, still an educator, but worked in education, and a musician. And I feel like that's my life in a sense of, once again, if I give y'all context of why my dad was murdered a month before I was born, he was selling drugs. He was living the 80s. Y'all heard about how the 80s was going in the Bay Area. That was a real thing. So him being a drug dealer, I've always thought I was a hope dealer. I've always thought that I was using the same skills, mirroring the same transferable skills that he was providing with building community, giving people opportunities to be great, even though it wasn't for the best of things. But I was able to put it where it was more so medicine than anything. And so he's talking about some of his kids in his class and how if you actually got a chance to get to know them, that you would have a better understanding and want to get behind this young person. And so as well as me thinking about being a hope dealer, I also think about me being that kid. Does that make sense? Of like, if somebody just poured into me, if somebody gave me an opportunity, if my dad got that opportunity, so many things will happen. So if y'all get a chance, it's called Hope Dealer. I haven't seen it on Apple Music, but it's on YouTube. But Kariga Bailey, Hope Dealer. I'll get emotional every single time hearing it because I know what comes out of me or what that consists of. And then after that, people that y'all might be familiar with is J. Cole speaks. He speaks, man. I won't even pinpoint the song right now. But J. Cole and the way he spits and the way he put words together and how he can storytell, I take pride in storytelling. So I'm cheating a little bit because I don't have an exact song. But any type of song like a J. Cole song that's storytelling, that's allowed for you to paint a picture, like Josh said earlier, that's something I do take pride in. So I'm glad you even said that out loud to affirm something that I like to do.
That's awesome. He nailed that question.
I was gonna say, you nailed it. Like, that's perfect. Yeah.
Yeah, I appreciate that. That's a good question. That's a question because these kids nowadays, I don't know what they listen to. Like the stuff, I swear I'm not old school like they used to do us. Like, what y'all listen to now? Yeah. I'm that young OG now because I'm like, I don't get it, but I still play it off and I still learn through them, and that's why they keep me young and right. But I don't know half the artists that they're talking about, so I'm gonna ask that question one day. So if you don't mind, I'll give you credit.
No, go for it. Please steal it. Yeah, I think a lot of music reaches a lot of people. Oh, yeah. It's a universal language. Yeah, so I love that question, and mine changes every once in a while. Sometimes I go back to like my original one, but just different ebb and flow of life. Sometimes it'll change, but I feel like everyone has that one original song. It might take them a while to like find it, but like, because it just hits you on a different level. Like,
you're good. And I like the seasons part. Like different seasons might speak. Like I might be on my Nipsey Hussle stuff one day. That might be how I'm feeling.
Yeah.
Nice.
Just because hustle motivate, entrepreneurship. You're right. It depends on what it is.
Yeah. Love it. Yeah. Feel free, ask away. Yeah.
Yeah, no, that was awesome. Like I said, sometimes we ask that question, and that was Deb's signature question when we were doing the Combine podcast. And some people, it really messed them up, and we would get DMs like 3 or 4 weeks later. I finally got it.
Yeah.
So, but man, you nailed it. I love that. I
The
love J.
music is
Cole.
beautiful in that way. Y'all right. I like that universal part of it. Of you can kind of almost get to know somebody with the answers that they give y'all, huh?
Oh yeah. Yeah,
Yeah.
very much so. And yeah, like Deb said, it is funny because some people, I remember a couple of them specifically is like, oh, I know my life song, easy. I know what it is. And some people are like, once they hear her say this season of life, it opens up a whole other, uh, another set of songs that they can think of, because like to choose
Absolutely.
one for their entire life is tough. But if they're talking about a song right now in the
Mhm.
season of life they're in, yeah, it's a lot easier. So it's a fun question. Every time she asked that, it was always fun. Part of the fun was the reaction, and you gave a great reaction.
Yeah, because I'm like, yeah, like where do I go here? How do I even unpack this one, huh?
That was
Yeah,
good.
Yeah, no, I
yeah,
appreciate that.
yeah,
Now people
absolutely.
and now people can listen to that after they've heard you say that. Maybe they're like, I don't know what my life song is, and now
Yep.
they hear it and they're like, maybe that could be mine. So
Yep.
yeah.
Yep. I hope they do. I hope they do. Well, I know y'all wrapping up, but I got a question for y'all.
Uh-oh.
Okay,
We
it's been
love
a
it.
minute since someone's asked us a question, so this is good.
What does optimism mean to y'all?
Ooh, that's a good one.
That is good.
From the first thing I think of, and it could be because you were just talking about the word hope, but optimism, I feel like hope has to be linked into it. Um, I don't feel like it's like the classical, oh, you're just smiling optimism, but if I'm thinking about how I want to be optimistic in life and in my career and, teaching these kids, it's hope. And it's doing your best to be real and set the best example that you can set, and being real in the sense of like, admitting your shortcomings to an extent, like within the appropriate like setting context, like whoever it is you're talking to. Um, and just yeah, just having a positive outlook on life after you've gone through like the ashes of life,
Yeah.
like coming out on the other end, how the sun's always going to rise the next morning. There's
No,
always going to be a next day if you just
absolutely. Real quick, before Josh go, a great philosopher said this: to not just be a role model, but to be a real model.
mm,
Tupac.
Yeah,
that-
That's something
yeah,
I preach and teach all day. Is because mentors might think I need to be a certain way for these young people to see me, when probably the things that you went through, one of the worst things you ever went through or happen around you, actually is going to be your opportunity to sit and hold space with a young person.
Mhm.
And
yeah,
so, to your point, like everything can be used. And so, don't just look at the role
Yeah.
model part. The real model part actually is probably what's going to bring you the closest to them.
Yeah, I agree. Love it.
yeah. That's
I
good.
like I like to use my classic example when they're like, I don't know what I want to do with my life. I'm like, it's okay. I went to 4 different colleges. I was on academic probation at one point. I don't know what I
Yeah,
wanted to do. I took a
they
year
need to
off.
hear that.
I got, I just went through all these things. I just tell them. And I was like, I didn't start my career till I was 27. So it's fine. You could do whatever you need to do.
That's the part. That's
Yeah,
the part. They might see you and then they hear that and they be like, oh, I can do it one day. No, but I'm serious. Like, it's not
yeah,
the dim or light, it's to let you know that you rose through the concrete. You rose through the ashes, like you were saying earlier. Like, that's the part that light me up. It's like, okay, tell me your accomplishments. That's cool and that's cute.
Mhm.
Tell me your failures, and that's when you're gonna really connect with me.
Yeah.
And so yeah.
Awesome.
yeah. That's good.
So you, Josh.
Um, yeah, no, I think for me, like the first thing that comes to mind is I think having the ability to not lose sight or not lose track of the goal or the dream that you're pursuing despite the circumstance. So there's moments where things are going crazy, there's obstacles, challenges in front of us. That doesn't mean that your goal or your dream is gone. It just means that there's something temporarily standing between you and the thing you're trying to get to. And I think someone who has optimism never loses sight of that. They don't turn their attention to the negative. They don't turn their attention to the challenges, but they remain focused on what they are trying to get to, while also handling and dealing with whatever situation comes their way. And I think if someone can do that in the darkest times, I think that's where their optimism is really shaped and formed. Yeah.
Let's go. Let's go. I like that. I like
Yeah.
that. And something that we're famous for saying often, I would probably say that a lot of podcasts probably throw this in there when they're like putting different content together. So if you find any other gems, use this. But I want to make sure that I ask y'all that question and then show y'all really quick that one of our shirts is something that we coined a long time ago with Project Optimism, and it talks about the optimistic mindset. And it simply says, looking at every situation in your life as a lesson, a blessing, and the opportunity to grow.
I like that.
And so that is something that, like, if it's any big message from Project Optimism to our young people, to our families, to our supporters, to y'all supporters, I think it's important for you to remember this, because we tell our young people all the time, it's a superhero power. You have this mindset, you can't lose. And so me having that moment of really processing what optimism means to me throughout these years, this kind of came to me, and this is one of those standards that we have around our organization and around our messaging. And so I did want to make sure I told you that, even though I feel like I said so much, it's like a broken record, but I didn't want to miss the opportunity of telling y'all that.
No, not at all. And I also like, I like the connection between, you're talking about, you know, the superhero thing, and then he opens up his button up to like Superman to show us the shirt underneath. Instead of an S, it's an O. I like that.
Yeah. Yeah.
He came ready.
That's funny. That's funny. That's funny. I didn't even peep that, but that is that. Yeah.
I was impressed. No one's ever done that on the show before. Usually, you know, I love that, man. Hey, well, man, this has been a fun conversation. Like I said, I have so many other questions, and I feel like this is one of those conversations where you say something and then I have like 5 other thoughts. So, man, down the road, we'll have to have you back on so we can chat more about some of the different things you're doing, especially when you guys start doing the back to school drives and stuff like that. Like, we would love to have you on to help promote that as well.
That would mean a lot.
Yeah. But in the meantime, where can people follow you? Websites, social media, all this. You got a bunch, man. So
you good.
We should have started this list a little while ago, because you got to go through them.
So with Project Optimism, yes, Project Optimism, we have 2. If you type in Project Optimism, it'll pop up. But we also have a LA one and a Sacramento one for Instagram. But for all the other ones, it's just Project Optimism. LinkedIn, TikTok, which we're trying to do the tickety-tock thing. I don't touch it. The social media team touch it. You see, I'm being funny. I don't even try to say it right on purpose.
It's so hard, man. I hate TikTok so much.
Right. But it's so needed when you're using it the right way.
I know.
So we got Project Optimisms, and then you have Easily Done _co, and that's where you can get life work. That's where you can get the consultant support. That I want to start building that out more, where you'll get more content. I have so much content that we just haven't put out there, but in due time. And I'm definitely going to be posting stuff from this episode on there too. So I'm looking forward to getting this back, because this is a great conversation, and thank y'all.
Yeah, awesome. Absolutely. So go follow Armoni on everywhere that he just mentioned. Make sure you go follow him. Go get life work. Go get the book. There it is right there. If you're watching on YouTube, check it out. Now you know what to look for. This is what it looks like. And yeah, you will not be disappointed. And stay tuned too. We will do a giveaway with this book too. So
that really means a lot.
Yeah, absolutely. So Deb, anything else before we get out of here?
I mean, we could keep talking for hours.
We could keep going. We have to shut it down at some point.
My next question would be like, okay, so what is something you could tell all of our listeners, and that will go off on a hook. Like, we could keep talking. So I better.
Yeah, I feel the same way. So I'm definitely looking forward to coming back, and in general, just checking in with y'all.
Yeah.
But I definitely know what y'all are doing, and y'all doing it well.
We appreciate that, man. We definitely appreciate the kind words. So, well, hey, man, good luck with everything. We'll continue to follow you and everything, all the great things you're doing for the community, man. And yeah, good luck, and we'll talk to you soon.
You got my word. Same to y'all.
All right, man. Take care. Thanks for watching the show. If you enjoyed that episode, make sure you like it, share it, and hit the subscribe button to get a new episode every week. We'll see you next time on the Connectable podcast.